Elon Musk has said Wellbutrin ain't no good and should be took off the market, whereas psychedelics are good. So is Elon Musk now taking on Big Pharma? Hello there, you 5.6 million wonders, you awakening miracles, you great soulmates of mine. Let us voyage onwards together, stirring the light, awakening, connecting, becoming as one, that we may gloriously explore ourselves as individuals and a collective. You know the sort of thing I say. Hey, are you a subscriber to this yet? Subscribe right now. Have you turned on the notification bell? You ought to. Have you listened to everything Elon Musk said, and have you replaced your thoughts with Elon Musk's thoughts? Like, Elon Musk is in a unique position now. Elon Musk is in all our phones, in all our hearts, in all our lives. He is regarded as distinct and separate from your everyday billionaire because he's a provocateur, he's a raconteur, he's a storyteller, he's a joker, he's a mischief maker. He is still a billionaire, and I'm sure that there are many challenges, economic ones and stuff to do with power dynamics, that are incumbent within that status. But for now, Elon Musk has bought Twitter, and he promises to make it a place where people can speak freely. I believe that's a good thing, even though I know that will mean I'm subjected to opinions and tweets, I suppose, I'm not into, but isn't your life always sort of a bit like that? And also, he is now confronting or taking on Big Pharma. Well, what a fascinating development that is, because Elon Musk, perhaps uniquely in the world, can say something and then affect share prices sort of overnight. Is Elon Musk the closest thing to Trump that Twitter's had since it banned Trump? And what is Twitter going to do now that Trump Mark II owns Twitter? You can't ban the boss, can you? Let's see what he said. Let's see whether what he said is true or not. And let's see if you agree with it. Because this is the other thing, is that a lot of the anti-Elon Musk arguments don't make sense. You know the arguments already. He's a billionaire. He owns a tech platform. All tech platforms are owned by billionaires and also by some people that seem a little more nefarious than Elon Musk. Drat. All right. Elon Musk, though, he shouldn't be able to criticise Big Pharma. They're our friends. Opioid crisis. Let's see what he's done and said this time. Elon Musk was hit with pushback. They always do that, don't they? They always report on the pushback. There's been some pushback. Like, that already shows you that there's a perspective at play here. Elon Musk was hit with pushback after tweeting on Friday that the antidepressant Wellbutrin is way worse than Adderall and should be taken off the market. Now, the fact that Elon Musk has got so much power that when he says something like that, it's significant, might affect market value. I don't know, man. What does that mean? That Elon Musk has got to play by a certain set of rules, and then who decides what those rules are? And what does Twitter become if your expectation is that he monitors it in accordance with the principles of the previous owners, and then everything he says should be subject to a set of criteria that I'm not even sure that I understand yet? What's wrong with him saying that? Musk said, every time that drug has come up in conversation, someone at the table has a suicide or near-suicide story, he added. I suppose what's funny is that Elon Musk's dinner time chats can influence the news cycle. Musk's initial comment was tweeted in response to an excerpt from a 2016 New York Times magazine feature titled Generation Adderall, a story about Adderall abuse and withdrawal. Musk also opined on the effectiveness of psychedelics and other plant-based substances as treatments for mental health-related issues, tweeting, I've talked to many more people who were helped by psychedelics and ketamine than SSRIs and amphetamines. Well, what that is an opinion. And even in the tweet, he's saying I spoke to people at a dinner party and things like that. He's not saying I conducted a medical study of 1,000 different participants. He's saying this is an opinion. So is he allowed an opinion? That's up to you. Comment below. Is Elon Musk allowed to have opinions? Now, he's a billionaire, he's super rich, he owns Twitter now. Does that mean he's not allowed opinions? Let's recognise that Elon Musk's opinions have more weight, freight, power, influence than mine or yours. But does that mean he's not allowed to have them? I don't know. And if you do believe that, if what your concern is hold on a minute, power is getting too centralised in the case of Elon Musk, then that means you've got a metric by which you judge too much power. So then you've got to apply that everywhere. What about Jeff Bezos? What about Bill Gates? What about the President of the United States? There's all sort of, the President of the United States, he was elected. Okay. You've got to start applying that metric everywhere. You can't just say, which is what I believe is happening, I don't like that person, I want them to shut up. If they agreed with me, I would like them. I have all sorts of people that I don't agree with. I have even more that disagree with me, vocally, verbally. And if I could just stop them, yeah, maybe I would. But I can't, and I accept that. This shows you what kind of media biases we're talking about, because rather rather than reporting on the point Elon Musk is making, are psychedelics more effective than many of the sanctioned drugs that Big Pharma puts out? That's the question he's posing, isn't it? Instead, they report on the pushback. There's been a pushback. There was a pushback the other day. And what does that tell you? That the big media and Big Pharma and the government are in alliance, not in some sort of way, but just in there'll be people on the boards of big media that are on the boards of Big Pharma that have held government office, and the whole thing is accepted to be sort of a network of nodes of interconnected and mutually supportive interests. Otherwise, you would say, as we are going to say now, is Elon Musk right? Are psychedelics more effective than Big Pharma drugs? Let's consider that together. Rick Doblin, founder and executive of the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. In May 21, Nature Medicine published the results of the most advanced trial of psychedelic therapy to date. In our phase 3 trial of MDMA-assisted therapy for PTSD, 88% of participants who received MDMA in conjunction with trauma-focused therapy experienced a clinically significant reduction in symptoms. Well, that's very impressive. That's some information that's worthwhile. It's a clinical trial. It's a study. That's data. That's not just Elon Musk said a thing. I don't like it. Why don't Elon Musk agree with me? I could invent a car, you know. 67% of participants no longer met criteria for a PTSD diagnosis. Many participants reported MDMA-assisted therapy helped them address the root cause of their trauma for the first time. These are interesting conversations. There are a lot of sick people in the world. I know this because I'm one of them. There's a lot of people that have been damaged by life. We need new solutions where the priority is the efficacy of the medicine rather than the profitability of the medicine. Don't you feel that again and again in our public discourse, in the conversations around Big Pharma, around the lack of trust around Big Pharma, the bloody lawsuits, the opioid crisis, all this stuff? So therefore, Elon Musk's question and inquiry, is it a bad thing or is it a bloody helpful thing? Even if he's wrong, wouldn't you like to see more studies for alternative medicines that are perhaps have less negative side effects, that might not be as profitable but might be more effective? Hit me up in the comments below. What do you want to know? Can you think of anything recently about treatments and medicines that might have been effective that were closed down? Ketamine studies have shown promise for chronic suicidal tendencies, PTSD symptoms and depression. Legal ketamine clinics which pair therapy with the drug can play a key role in maximising the benefits and reducing the risks of the psychedelic experience. Psilocybin-assisted therapy is a breakthrough therapy for depression. Well, there we are. This is exactly the kind of conversation we should be having. So is Elon Musk irresponsible for making that point and using his platform to generate conversation? In fact, 4 separate systematic reviews have been published this year highlighting the potential of psychedelic-assisted therapies for those conditions and more. Conversely, the well-documented devastation of the war on drugs has been responsible for untold trauma. Over the last 5 years, medicinal psychedelics have made incredible strides in the face of strict regulations and stigma. What is the function of stigma? It's a type of taboo. It prevents you from exploring something with an open mind. That's what a stigma is. Think of the things that have been stigmatised in the past. Interracial sex, same-sex marriages, stigmatised, prevented from being discussed. When something is stigmatised, you can't investigate it properly and openly. Does anyone benefit from particular types of stigmas and taboos? Hit me up in the comments. Meanwhile, existing drug therapies for depression, addiction and PTSD have failed to produce real and lasting results. Right, well, there you go. So not only is it a worthwhile conversation even if he's wrong, not only is he entitled to having an opinion because he's a person, but in this case, it seems like he's got a point. Roughly 2/3 of US veterans suffering from PTSD have reported dissatisfaction with current treatments. 2/3 of Americans with depression don't even bother with treatment because common medications are largely ineffective. Antidepressants take weeks or months to kick in, if they do at all. Even then, they come with a daunting list of side effects and also add to the risk of addiction. That's been my experience with antidepressants. I've not taken them for a long, long time, decades, but I've always felt like, oh God, it's going to take months before the bloody thing kicks in. Stuff that's, I don't know, more natural or experimental or just advanced pharmacology. These sorts of things I think would be interesting. Speaking as a person that suffered from mental health issues from childhood, certainly through adolescence and early adulthood, these are the kind of solutions that perhaps could have made my life a little different. But it gets worse. Antidepressants like Trintellix come with a warning for suicidal thoughts and actions. Bloody hell, that's not an ideal side effect of an antidepressant. So do Zoloft and Xanax, both addictive medications. These treatments are meant to ease depression and anxiety, not exasperate them, and conventional drugs like these come with a life sentence of permanent use. Oh, well, I suppose that would be a benefit if you were, like, selling those things. We might imagine that Big Pharma would invest more in more effective humane treatments for mental illness, but in reality, multinational pharmaceutical companies appear to have abandoned forward movement on mental health treatments altogether. Right, so there's a financial component to it. The controversy around Musk's tweet now appears to have an origin that may be financial in nature. Generic competition has strengthened to the point where earnings for the firms that make these drugs are a shadow of the past. By 2019, the worldwide sales of the antidepressant market leaders will be half of that achieved in 2004. They are also controversial and expensive to research. Some of the bigger industry players decided it was easier to make money in oncology or diabetes, and so they weren't investing, says Harry Tracy. That's the wrong attitude, isn't it? Isn't medicine supposed to be about healing and helping people, or is medicine and Big Pharma about profits? What does your experience tell you? What have you learned in life? What have you been shown? What does that tell you that they stop research if the area is not profitable? It shows you that it's for profit. Okay then. So now what can we discern about the mentality, the mindset and the systems behind it? It's greedy, and they're not going to research more effective products, and in fact they're going to resent and oppose potential competition if it's cheaper, less profitable, natural. All sorts of things can be, if not assumed, certainly imagined as a result of that piece of information. Harry Tracy, whose newsletter Neuro Perspective tracks developments in drug treatments for psychiatric problems. Why would they choose not to invest in proven psychedelic therapeutic medicines? The reason is that Big Pharma has little actual interest in curing people. A minimal dosage, long-term effective treatment model for mental health disorders would mean losing the cornerstone of their business, returning customers. They like people sick. Huge pharmaceutical corporations rely on sick people remaining sick to their own detriment. In addition, Big Pharma is also facing a patent cliff as many of their patents are starting to expire. With no new development for mental health treatments, the industry is losing revenue, customers and public confidence. I hope I'm not naive about Elon Musk. I don't imagine that he's some kind of billionaire Tony Stark Jesus figure. I know him to be a human being with assets and flaws like all human beings. But with the recent stories around Musk, whether it's his purchase of Twitter and his commitment to free speech, or his willingness to openly confront Big Pharma in the area of mental health, it seems that there is at least some legitimacy to the things that Elon Musk has said. Plus, he's gone to space, invented an electric car, and he likes this channel. So my objectivity is somewhat tainted. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think. Hit us up in the comments below. Give us a like, a thumbs up. Turn on the notification bell so we can let you know when we're doing this stuff. Please subscribe to my mailing list. It's really important that you do that in case for some reason we're not able to communicate directly. Look at my eye contact. What am I telling you right now? If you enjoyed this video, have a look at this one or this one. And please, more importantly than any of that stuff, stay free.